So today I have in a watch I borrowed from Gem Bijou, the shop that I work at. Wasn't planning on doing a video on the Seastar 2000 from Tissot, but a viewer recently mentioned that he was considering either the Tissot or the new Hamilton Frogman, which I've recently done a video on, and I thought why not grab it from the shop for just a short overview of the watch. I don't unfortunately have the Frogman here for a side-by-side, but I will link that video in the description below. As far as the Seastar goes, though, there's a lot of pros with the watch, but there is a couple of cons that are worth mentioning for anyone that's considering picking one up. So let's get straight to it and take a look at the watch. Now, two things that are going to hit you straight away when you get your hands on one of these watches. One is it's a hefty thing. It's big and it's pretty weighty too, which I guess could be a negative depending on preference. But the second is that dial. I love the color and the wave pattern. There's a few color options for these, but this is definitely my favorite. The dial is a fume dial transitioning to almost black where it meets the raised chaptering. The applied hour markers are slightly inset against the chaptering. It almost looks like they're all one piece, but it's hard to tell for sure. Down at the 3 is the date framed in steel. Liking that they went with the black date wheel, and also a big fan of the date at 6. The dial itself has a metallic finish, which looks really nice with that wave pattern, but I kind of wish they went with a little less text. There's 3 lines of text above the date, which I'm usually good with, but especially that second line with the water resistance. It's just so long, almost going the whole way from the 8 to the 4 o'clock markers. The hands are large sword-style hands with a thin second hand that has that Tissot T counterbalance. The loom is actually pretty good. Looks to be BGW9, and although it's not a torch or anything, it's evenly applied and is fairly long-lasting, so you're good to go when it comes to legibility in just about any lighting situation. The crown is a large signed screw-down crown. It feels very sturdy in hand when you are operating it. Winding action of the Powermatic 80 is smooth. The movement is a 3 Hz movement based on the ETA 2824, but they've lowered the beat frequency down from 4 Hz, so it beats now at 21,600 vibrations per hour, which gives it that extra power reserve of approximately 80 hours. The case, again, is pretty darn big, but it is a 600-meter diver, so that's usually what you get with a watch with that kind of water resistance. The finish looks good with polished tops of the lugs. The case sides are brushed then with these polished inset areas on either side of the crown. Also all the way across the opposite side where we have the helium escape valve in the center. Now, the biggest negative for me with the watch is the bezel. I like the look with the high polished ceramic insert and the way they did that sort of coin edge style grip, but the action is on the sloppy side. There's a little more play than I'd like to see, and not just rotational play either. Might not be able to see it on camera, but there's some side-to-side play and also some up and down movement if you press on either side or tops and bottom of the bezel. It's definitely a letdown for me, especially. Let's go around one more time here, especially considering the cost of the watch. The same could be said for the bracelet. It's good, but not great. It doesn't have the tightest tolerances either. The clasp is signed with 3 micro adjusts. It's made mostly with milled steel, except for the dive extension, which is very thin pressed steel. Feels a little flimsy. On wrist, it feels fine, but again, at this price point, I would have expected a little bit better construction. On the plus side, though, it does have quick release, so if you plan to put it on something different, which I probably would, it's very easy to do. Size-wise, the watch comes in at a width of about 45.5 millimeters. Lug to lug is 51.5 millimeters. Lug opening is 22 millimeters and the thickness is 16.4 millimeters. So yep, it is a biggie. The crystal is a domed sapphire with an anti-reflective coating, and the watch is an ISO 6425 certified diver. And here it is on my 7¼ inch wrist, and although there's some negatives with the bezel and bracelet, it's a beautiful watch. Beastly too, though. You definitely feel it on wrist with that large, heavy case. Cost on this comes in at $13.75 here in Canadian dollars, $10.25 in USD. Overall, I like the watch and loving this dial, but just wish they'd done a little bit better, especially with the bezel. So I think that's everything. Appreciate you taking a few minutes to stop by. If anyone is thinking about a certain watch that we carry at Gem Bijou, wants me to put together a video on it like this, just let me know and I'm happy to help out with that. Thanks again, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.